Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, August 12th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and we begin right now with an effort being made in one community to control both crowds and COVID-19. Officials in Ocean Beach trying to get out in front of another large gathering taking place tonight. And KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman is live in OB with more. Matt.
Maya, yeah, we're here in Ocean Beach right now, where I don't know if you can tell behind me, but a small crowd is starting to gather for the Ocean Beach drum circle that has a lot of residents upset due to lack of social distancing and people not wearing face coverings. Now, Councilmember Jen Campbell has said the drum circles on Wednesdays are out of control. And this evening, the city and county are deploying teams to try and educate people about physical distancing and wearing face coverings. Now, I want to show you video from the drum circle last week in Ocean Beach. A lot of people, a lot more than are here right now, not wearing face coverings, little physical distancing. Now, when San Diego police came out here last week, no citations for violating the county health order were issued. The city is hoping this new educational team can convince people in the drum circle to operate in a responsible way. Now, teams are made up of city code compliance officers, parking enforcement, park rangers, and also county health staff. Now, today they're out handing out masks to people in the Ocean Beach area, but residents have been complaining about these large gatherings near the pier for weeks, and the city is still choosing to take an educational approach. Now, the city basically says, look, it's deeply disappointing when people are in direct violation, but they have a responsibility to do everything that they can before they levy a $1,000 fine, and they want to make sure that people are reasoned with. Now, people in the drum circle, we talked to one gentleman who said he totally understands the concerns of the community, especially during this time, but there's a gray area about being outside and when there is live music. Now, as we come back out here live, you see just a small group of people at the drum circle now. One of those code compliance teams are back there behind them, and the city says they refer problematic cases to the county. Now, the big question is there going to be a middle ground here? Can the county, can the city, and this drum circle come to some sort of agreement that satisfies both the community and city officials as it relates to COVID-19 guidelines? Because right now, city officials basically just pleading with people to wear face coverings and to physically distance out here. We'll see if it pays off. Here in Ocean Beach, Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Thanks for that report, Matt. And a promising sign in San Diego County's fight against the coronavirus. The county's case rate fell below 100 per 100,000 people for the first time since being placed on the state's watch list. It currently sits at 94.1. The county would need to report a case rate of 100 or below for 3 days to get off of the watch list, then an additional 14 days before schools could reopen. 6 more deaths and 236 more cases were also reported today. Now, despite some restrictions announced at the beginning of the pandemic, thousands of workers and shoppers continue to cross the U.S.-Mexico border every day. KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Adler tells us that many of these border crossers can now get tested for coronavirus, no appointment necessary.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, Customs and Border Protection has done little to screen people crossing from Tijuana to the U.S. as to whether they have any coronavirus symptoms or have come into contact with someone who does. Starting today, San Diego County will offer free testing to people who are crossing the border, right at the exit of the pedestrian East Crossing in San Isidro.
So this particular site is targeted for folks that are crossing the border, essential workers, U.S. citizens that live on the other side of the border, but really any member of the public can come here to be tested.
CBP did allow the county to set up the testing site on its property. It can test between 150 and 200 people a day, and while it's focusing on border crossers, it won't turn anyone away who wants to walk up and take a test. It joins 2 other sites across the county that don't require an appointment. Oceanside resident Grisel Barrios went down to Tijuana on Wednesday morning to do some shopping.
When I saw that they had the free COVID testing, I decided to take advantage of it because I have grandkids that I babysit.
She said the process took less than 5 minutes, and she should be getting results in 3 to 4 days. She had wanted to get a test before, but was discouraged by the wait times.
But I know everywhere you have to make an appointment, and it's weeks before you can do it, and it's not as convenient as walking across and seeing it right here.
She's glad to have finally gotten the test because she'll be teaching her grandchildren this fall.
I'm going to be the teacher of 4 grandkids, so I want to make sure I'm okay.
The county says the site is a pilot program targeted at when the vast majority of essential workers are crossing between 6:30 and 10:30 in the morning. If the site proves popular, it says it could expand those hours. Maxwell Nadler, KPBS News.
Following up on a story KPBS reported about Kumeyaay ancestral land spanning across the U.S.-Mexico border, the La Posta Band of Diegueño Mission Indians has now filed a lawsuit in federal court asking for an injunction to temporarily stop a border wall being built. The tribe wants to protect religious and cultural heritage and recover ancestral human remains. Members of the tribe say they were not adequately consulted by border officials. Kumeyaay people have lived in the area for more than 12,000 years. A new rental assistance program has become available for a number of cities in San Diego County, but as KPBS reporter Tanya Thorne tells us, it's a very limited time opportunity.
As tenants throughout San Diego County continue to worry about rental costs, a new emergency rental assistance program has become available for certain areas in the county, but the deadline is very short. Residents in the cities of Coronado, Del Mar, Imperial Beach, Lemon Grove, Poway, Solana Beach, and the unincorporated county may be eligible for up to $1,500 per month for 2 months. Applications for the program are available online starting today and closing by tomorrow, Thursday, at midnight. In order to qualify, households must be in the qualifying areas, meet income eligibility requirements, and have experienced a financial hardship related to COVID-19. Recipients will be selected through a random lottery. The money is expected to be distributed in early September. The list of requirements are online at sdhcd.org. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Joe Biden and his new running mate Kamala Harris appeared together for the first time as partners on the Democratic ticket. But as Whitney Wild explains, this event is unlike any other in the modern political era.
Your next Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris appearing for the first time together as running mates.
She's ready to do this job on day one.
Oh, I'm so proud to stand with you.
The next Vice President.
Typically, the running mate rollout entails a large rally.
Joe Biden.
Governor Mike Pence. Thank you.
But the COVID pandemic forced the pair and their families into a socially distanced space.
We're keeping our social distancing and playing by the rules.
Another sign of the times, Biden asked the California senator to join the ticket virtually.
First of all, is the answer yes?
The answer is absolutely yes, Joe.
While historic,
My mother and father, they came from opposite sides of the world to arrive in America. One from India and the other from Jamaica.
The pick is polarizing. Some on the left view Harris as too centrist.
The kind of Bernie Sanders wing of the party has been openly critical of her.
The Trump campaign paints her as too liberal.
Kamala Harris ran for president by rushing to the radical left.
President Trump also weighing in.
I was more surprised than anything else because she did so poorly. Many people did much better than her in the primary.
Is anyone surprised Donald Trump has a problem with a strong woman?
Biden believes Harris is the right partner to help energize the base and work towards victory in November.
I have no doubt that I picked the right person to join me.
We have a chance to choose a better future for our country.
From the White House, I'm Whitney Wild.
Politicians and voters across the country continue to react to Kamala Harris's pick as Democratic nominee for vice president. Assembly member Shirley Weber from San Diego spoke with KPBS about what this pick means for the community, especially for African American women.
it's good that the rest of the world now recognizes not only that she's a strong woman, but that she's smart, and that she can handle diverse communities, that she can handle a multitude of issues and do it with a level of confidence and grace that's so very important. So it's exciting for us to be able to say that finally the rest of the world recognizes what we've already known about Black women.
And Weber said it would have been an insult to the community not to have picked an African-American woman, having had considered and vetted several Black women as serious choices for running mate. Speculation is swirling about who Governor Newsom may choose to fill Senator Harris's seat should she win the election. Here's how the governor answered a reporter's question whether anyone had pitched themselves as a replacement.
You may be the only one that hasn't. Unless you just did. And that is only slight exaggeration. That's not what I'm focused on right now. I'm focused on what I need to be focused on, and that's you and your health. That's the economy and its needs and the support that we need to provide small businesses and the priority to get our kids back in school.
So among those vying for the spot, Imperial Beach Mayor Serge Dedina. He tweeted out this picture as his, quote, official surfer for Senate photo. The governor says the decision on who will replace Harris won't be needed until January 2021. The pandemic has forced a timeout for many college sports, and at San Diego State University, that means football and other fall athletics will be postponed until the spring. KPBS education reporter Joe Hong explains the economic impact on the college and the community.
Earlier this week, San Diego State University and the entire Mountain West Conference announced that all fall sports would be postponed into the spring. This includes football, soccer, volleyball, and cross country. It could be a big financial blow to the university.
It could be anywhere from a $12 million hit down to a couple $1 million hit.
At a virtual press conference on Monday, SDSU's athletic director John David Wicker said the university is hoping its big donors can help mitigate the losses for the athletic department.
We'll be working with our community, our San Diego State University community, and the greater community on how they can help us weather this storm and still be in great shape moving out of it.
But for the city of San Diego, the economic impact of canceling college sports in the fall will be minimal.
Usually when you look at things like sporting events, any sort of economic impact would involve money being brought in by the visiting teams.
Alan Jin is an associate professor of economics at the University of San Diego. He said visiting teams in the Mountain West Conference don't usually bring crowds of fans to San Diego.
To me, it's not a conference where a lot of fans travel with their teams. And so I think there would be limited impact in terms of any outside visitors. Again, there could be some minor impact about the teams themselves, the outside teams themselves staying and spending money in San Diego.
Meanwhile, economics is the last thing on the minds of student athletes who are devastated by the decision.
I've dedicated my entire life to soccer.
Chloe Frisch is in her 4th year at SDSU. She said she'd consider extending her college career to have a proper final season.
So the fact that it would be over and I never got a chance to play my last game, I mean, if I had that opportunity to come back for a 5th year, then I would do that probably. And I think a lot of my senior teammates would feel that same way.
Joe Hong, KPBS News.
Now, once again, President Trump is calling for schools across the country to open, and he says if they don't, federal dollars should go to parents instead of schools.
If a school is going to be closed and we're giving all of this money on the federal basis to a school, and if a student is going to go to a different school, really at the choice more of the parent, in all fairness, than the student, where you want to go and what school you want to bring the student to, I think the money should follow the student.
The president and vice president held a discussion at the White House with parents, teachers, and doctors who said they support children returning to classrooms. Most of the country's large school districts are starting the year with online learning.
Temperatures continue to rise in our area and across the interior sections. It's going to be dangerously hot for the end of the week and over the weekend. Also, moisture coming in from our erstwhile hurricane Alita And it does look like we'll see a few clouds around on Thursday. Some spots may see a sprinkle and maybe a stray storm in some of the mountains, but they'll be mainly to our north. Taking a look at the advisories, whoa, we have excessive heat watches, excessive heat warnings. These continue from Friday afternoon all the way through Monday evening, so extremely hot here in the interior for the end of the week and over the weekend. Some spots could be rivaling record highs. It stays hot right into Monday. Now, as you take a look at tonight, well, along the coast, we still have some coastal clouds. The course keeping temperatures a little cooler here. But overnight, we'll be in the mid-60s around Escondido, lower 60s in Ramona. As we check out the conditions Thursday through Friday, no change. Hot and dry with this high pressure overhead, no monsoon flow. But we will see a little moisture coming up from the old tropical system. Take a look at tomorrow's forecast. Clouds and sun will be with us. Oceanside down towards San Diego. Ramona heating up to 99. El Cajon at 98. Barrogo Springs 114 and Campo 101. So it's getting hotter. Now, as we take a look at the monsoonal flow, well, we don't really have much of that. But with the high pressure to our east, it will allow a little bit of moisture to come up from our weakening tropical system. So we'll see some high clouds coming around Wednesday night through Thursday. And as I said, there may be that stray sprinkle. Temperatures warming up right to the coast here. Look at that. Saturday, we're at 87. Inland areas getting really hot. Temperatures upper 90s here Friday and Saturday. Mountain areas will be warm, it'll be dry. And then as we take you into the desert, scorching heat potential, record heat here over the weekend. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
Alcoholism could be partly a result of special immune cells in the brain. KPBS science and technology reporter Shalina Chatlani spoke to the San Diego researcher who made this discovery and says targeting these cells could be a potential treatment for drinking problems.
The brain is a complicated jumble of wiring and signals, and within this matrix are immune cells known as microglia. These cells are responsible for reducing inflammation and preventing disease in brain tissue. But these cells, if they become dysfunctional, can change the wiring in the brain and contribute to diseases like Alzheimer's. So scientists decided to test out what happens to these microglia inside alcoholic mice. And what they saw is that continuous alcohol consumption activates these cells, says Scripps neuroscientist Marissa Roberto.
With alcohol and the repetition that you drink excessively every day, large amount of alcohol, there have been studies in the last decade showing that actually you have an increase in activation of the microglia, and that brings actually some negative aspect of microglia. So we found a causal link between microglia and the transition to dependence.
Roberto says that means a potential therapy for suppressing alcoholism could be drugs that specifically target these immune cells.
If we can control, this progressive increase in microglia activation, I really believe we could at least alleviate the problem.
Roberto says she's excited to test out drugs targeting microglia in human clinical trials. Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
A new study is shedding light on which masks work best when it comes to coronavirus protection. And as Brian Todd shows us, researchers say some of the face coverings people are wearing don't work at all to prevent the spread.
They come in so many different styles, materials, and designs, from N95 surgical masks to bandanas, knitted masks, even so-called gaiters, those stretchy bands of fabric that cover the neck. Tonight, a new study from researchers at Duke University has advice on which masks work and which don't. Gaiters, or fleece masks, they say, you should stay away from.
It's a combination, certainly, of stretchiness of the material and the material potentially being very thin.
The bandana, according to the researchers, may look cool but doesn't work well.
The material itself, that is just made a little bit more transparent, a little bit more transmissive to these droplets. In addition, there's, of course, lots of gaps.
The Duke researchers tested 14 different kinds of masks. They shined iridescent light from a laser through slits in a dark box. A person spoke one phrase repeatedly into the box to create droplets.
Stay healthy, people. Stay healthy, people.
They used a cell phone camera to record the droplets, then counted the droplets that were let through by the different masks. The ones that work well, they say, N95 surgical masks are the best, letting out very few, if any, droplets. But those should be reserved for frontline healthcare workers. Those standard surgical masks, the light blue ones that many of us can buy at stores, also work well, they say. And
all the cotton masks we've tested, they work great.
The Duke researchers say there's one kind of mask that they believe does more harm than good, the fleece mask, because of the size of droplets it lets through.
What's noticeable here is that you see lots of particles and lots of little particles. So this is actually counterproductive because the little particles that get generated from big particles, they tend to hang around longer in the air. They can get carried away easier in the air.
The Duke researchers told CNN their study's not meant as an endorsement of certain masks. Other experts are hopeful that this kind of advice can be communicated more clearly to the public, acknowledging there's been way too much confusion.
We should not have any confusion over mask wearing. This is confusion that we ourselves, the frontline workers, the government, public health experts, doctors, nurses, and other influential people when it comes to infection prevention control have actually created because we haven't got on the same page on what works and what doesn't work and what works based on evidence.
And that was Brian Todd reporting. Experts say there now needs to be more information available about how to correctly put on and take off a mask and how to clean and store them. Since Tiki Oasis cannot hold its in-person event, it's hosting a full virtual weekender. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando explains how you can escape reality through all things Tiki.
Tiki Oasis is about fashion, cocktails, kitschy fun, and most of all, escapism. But this year, the annual Tiki Oasis Weekender is going virtual to offer escape from the quarantine of COVID-19, says Baby Doe von Stroheim.
Really hoping that this will unlock the opportunity for people to just kind of forget their everyday life and just get to experience some different parts of what makes Tiki Oasis unique. So we're just going to kind of immerse ourselves enough into people's everyday life that maybe they'll get a little bit of that escapism.
But whether it's in person or online, Otto von Stroheim says Tiki Oasis never changes.
It's a meeting place for people who are into mid-century Polynesian pop. So if you appreciate architecture and you appreciate rum and cocktails, tropical cocktails and mixology, Hawaiian shirts and aloha wear, Tiki Oasis is the place to be. That's where you're going to find your tribe.
It's a tribe that puts a lot of work and creativity into dressing the part for a Tiki celebration. So being able to see what people are wearing and to be seen are key.
So we have a couple different ways that we're doing that. We have some meetups that are happening where people can see each other. And we're also doing we're doing a late night room party. That's a dance party kind of idea. And the concept with that is that people are all going to be on the Zoom. They'll get to see each other and see what other people are wearing, what they're drinking, how they maybe decorated their living room.
Another aspect of Tiki Oasis is the marketplace, and that's going online as well.
Our virtual marketplace has over 50 vendors.
Yeah, so in our vendor marketplace, you get to talk to these people. So just the way you would at, our actual real in-person show, you can walk up to them and talk to them via Zoom.
So tune in to the virtual Tiki Oasis TV this Friday through Sunday. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
A La Jolla Playhouse musical about the life of the Princess of Wales is set to premiere on Netflix early next year. The musical, Diana, was supposed to debut on Broadway last March, but due to the coronavirus pandemic, all theaters in New York were forced to close. Now the musical will be filmed on an empty theater stage and streamed on Netflix. The tentative date for the show's return to Broadway is May 2021.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, presenting the ticket. Kamala Harris joins Joe Biden for the first time as his running mate. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's a recap of today's top stories. San Diego County's coronavirus case rate fell below 100 per 100,000 people for the first time since being placed on the state's watch list. The county would need to report a case rate of 100 or below for 3 days to get off the watch list, then an additional 14 days before schools could reopen. 6 more deaths and 236 more cases were also reported today. People are gathering for a weekly drum circle that has residents in OB upset because of a lack of physically distancing and mask wearing. Now the city and county are deploying teams to try and educate people about the public health orders. A team of city code compliance officers, parking enforcement, park rangers, and county health staff are handing out masks in the area. Thousands of workers and shoppers continue to cross the U.S.-Mexico border every day. So starting today, San Diego County will be offering free coronavirus testing to people who are crossing the border right at the exit of the pedestrian East Crossing in San Ysidro. The site can test up to 200 people a day, and no appointment is needed. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabolsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.